Okay, so good evening. Welcome to the Visual Arts open evening. Hopefully you're all here for the right thing and you're not expecting computing or anything like that. The way it's going to work is myself and Jess are going to talk through a PowerPoint. Obviously, usually we would be seeing you in person, but due to the current circumstances, unfortunately, we're having to do it this way. So we'll show you through some information. If you have questions, there should be an area where you can add questions in, which Jess is going to be keeping an eye on, but we'll go through those questions at the end. So it'll be about sort of 15-20 minutes of us just going through the content of the various courses that we offer, and then we'll be showing some examples of work across the area. Okay, so start off. So depending on what sort of level you're applying for, we are looking for the same students across all levels that are creative, curious, hardworking, and experimental. Commitment is key. High standard of attendance and punctuality, and the need to meet individual sort of deadlines throughout the course are all things that we expect from every student, no matter whether you're level 1, 2, 3 or 4. Okay, so to get a place on the various levels, in the green at the top there we have a level 1. Level 1 is the requirements for that course are 2 grade 2s, which is equivalent to about an E. We sort of prefer an art related subject. It's not essential if you've got a good portfolio of personal work, if you haven't done art at school. The level 2 is the same sort of level of possible courses that you are doing at school at the moment. We offer a level 2 in art and design and photography. You need to have a strong interest in the subject, whether it's sort of broad art or photography. And the grade requirement there is 4 grade 3s. You must have one in an art related subject, and we like a GCSE sort of grade 3 at least in English. Okay, if you've done a level 1 art, it must be at a merit level. And then the extended level sort of 3 diploma, which is the A-level equivalent course, we actually run that course. It's called an extended diploma in creative practice. We run one in sort of fine art, which is basically broad-based art. We cover lots of different things. We do one in graphic design and one in photography. The one that we're sort of focusing on mainly today, although we will show some graphic design and photography work, is the sort of broad based. So if you know you want to be a graphic designer, you know you're going to go and do graphic design at college. If you know you want to be a photographer, you go and do photography. If you're unsure, and you'll see from other slides that there are lots of different opportunities within the art sector, you would probably say broad based, although we still have students that go in to do photography at university and graphic design who stay very broad at this level. The grade requirements for that is 4 grade 4s. One must be English and one must be obviously an art related subject, or you need a merit at level 2 with an English grade 4. For all of these courses, you have to submit a portfolio of work at interview. This year, it might be that we send out something where you get a link to put a few photographic slides in, so we can look at it prior to the interview. Because at the moment, we're thinking that interviews are going to be in this sort of format. Okay. Anything I missed there, Jess?
I don't think so. No, I think it is important to note that the level 2 and 3 it's essentially the same course. So whichever specialist pathway you choose, you're doing the same qualification. So it's the same unit. So there's lots of opportunity for quite a broad spectrum, which you'll see coming through in some of the work as we go through the presentation. But sometimes students think that they're going to only do one thing, but it's important to know that even at level 2, for example, there are lots of different units within the qualification that so it's photography is, for example, the main pathway, but it's not the only thing that you'll do on the course. But that's, other than that, I think it'd be nice to look at some of the work later on and explore that a little bit more.
Okay, so moving on. Okay, so all students who do not achieve a 4 in English or maths do have to retake these qualifications whilst studying at college. If you are there for 2 years, you don't get it in the first year, you still have to retake. The government is pushing sort of English and maths, and it is all because of industry. They look for at least a grade 4 in English and maths when they are sort of, when you hit sort of industry level. So, and universities also look for English and maths qualifications at a grade 4. Whilst on the course, you also have to engage in work experience, which is quite challenging at the moment, as I'm sure you understand. And 30 hours of work experience are expected per year. At the moment, some students are doing some online stuff that industry is providing, and it is a challenge, but it is something to think about, and maybe putting some feelers out there at the moment, or definitely towards the back end of the year. The independent study time, so private study, you would be expected to complete, I would expect, about an addition of sort of 12 hours per week, depending on the course that you are on. So level 1 won't be expected to do as many hours as someone who's on a level 3, but this can be sort of discussed, and it's what you put into the course that you get out. We do also have an additional supports team, which will provide support in sessions and outside of sessions. So it's very important, if you do have support needs, that you let the college know on the application, so we can start that ball rolling immediately. If you don't achieve the grades that you were predicted, you will be offered a place on a different level. We went through in the previous slide what's expected. So if you're not quite achieving the 4 grade 4s, you would automatically achieve a place on the level 2, as long as you have those entry requirements. Likewise, if you was going for level 2 and you stepped down to level 1, you automatically get a place on that program. Our goals are to support students to be successful. Sometimes this can mean it takes an extra year or more to build up those skills. I always see an extra year as an extra year gained, really, rather than an extra year to sort of hold you back. So it's seen as a positive. Build up your skills over more years, and then when you get to university, you'll be ready. The first 6 weeks of the year are probational. So if in the first week or so you're on a graphics course and then decide you need to be more broad-based, there is the option to move, but you need to be very, very, very quick at making those decisions, so that you can be transferred over. Students, as said in the previous slide, must attend well. Attendance and punctuality are key things, and obviously the completion of work goes towards that 6 weeks sort of progression. So it's key to meet those deadlines, but there is options to transfer between courses and levels within that 6-week block. Costs, obviously, with art, it's an expensive subject. There is a kit fee. They range between sort of £80. They're different each year. Hopefully it shouldn't be any more than 150, but you'll receive that information based on the course you are applying for. We also usually go on a number of trips. Unfortunately, at the moment, we can't. So hopefully, back end of the year, we might be able to. But we estimate that at another £100. And obviously, it says there, usually we have an overseas trip for level 3 students and above. But again, this is on hold at the moment, but that is not mandatory. The kit and the trips within this country are mandatory, and need to be factored in. All of the above can be got through sort of finance, but it's means tested based on your family income, your house family income. I can't remember the exact figures. I think it's below 21,000 or household income, but there is support on the website, on the college website, and we advise that people sort of get the ball rolling on that if you think you are eligible. Okay, so when you gain a place, you get the option to accept or decline. If you accept a place and then change your mind, if you can, let us know as soon as possible so we can free that place up for someone else. But if you're happy and you want to continue, it's sometime during the summer that you'll receive a start date and all the information you need for the enrolment and induction. You will also receive a summer assignment that will be sent out to you that will need to be completed and brought in on your first day. So that's what sort of happens post interview. How will my course run? All of our qualifications from level 1 to level 4 are with University Arts London. They do offer sort of the freedom to explore and make mistakes, and explore a wide range of materials. So, and that's due to the way that they're structured, which is in a sort of later slide. But it does state there that all units prior to the final unit are pass only, pass or fail. So it encourages that curiosity and that option to sort of make mistakes and have trials and failures within different processes, learn from those, and then move on. You will work through project briefs for each unit in workshops and sort of demonstrations from your tutors, and you will develop and explore your own practice. You may find that as you go through a particular course and a particular level that you start working in a more of a design way, more of a fine art way, and that'll give you then the option to start sort of targeting assignments in a more sort of design or fine art sort of approach. Your deadline for tax will be clearly stated on your project briefs, and when we have work in, there's a 3-week turnaround where we will feed back to you. If there are improvements to be made, you will be given a sort of feedback, and you will have to get that work completed. You must pass all units to achieve the qualification, and every student will be allocated a personal tutor, which will sort of help them along that journey. Okay, so I don't know why that's there, but
can I just while we're on the subject of course choices and workload, etc., it's probably worth noting, which is actually covers a question that's popped up as well, is that these are full-time courses. So whilst we'll build in maths or English retakes into the study program, the course itself is the only subject choice you can make. So you couldn't do an art course alongside another subject. They are all encompassing. They require full-time attendance. So they're not like A-level programs where you can mix subjects. So all of those expectations in terms of the number of units we cover, and the number of projects that have to be undertaken, etc., all of that is on the understanding that a student is committed to that study program 5 days a week. Okay, that was all. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what can you expect? We will stretch and challenge you to create work to a high standard. We will push you to research, plan, explore, reflect, and problem solve ideas. We will expect you to engage in the world and use a range of sources as inspiration. We will expect you to be open-minded, curious, and open to feedback and discussion. Okay, and those are sort of things and that UAL are really sort of about when you look through the sort of specifications. That's sort of their pro forma for that. We've got 3 short videos just to sort of watch. They give you an insight into the area, so we'll just sort of click on those and work our way through.
Get behind the lens. Discover the type of photographer you want to be. Digital imaging and manipulation, darkroom practice, location photography, studio photography, experimental imagery, and more. You'll have the freedom to specialise as you move towards your chosen career. Study photography at the stunning Blossomfield campus, and our industry expert tutors will be with you every step of the way. You can even progress onto a university level course. Right here, discover your future at Solihull College and University Centre.
Okay, the next one is graphic design.
Graphic design is everywhere you look. From the magazines you read to the websites you browse. Their style and look has been crafted by the creative eye of a designer. Study graphic design and you'll learn how to use industry standard software in some of the best facilities in the region. Tutors with real sector insight will be on hand to help you work towards a career in advertising, branding, packaging design, animation, typography, and many more. Once you've completed the course, progress to higher education at the college or at university. Discover your future at Solihull College and University Centre.
Yeah, the last one.
The creative process is a perpetually unique experience, forever reinvented, manipulated, destroyed, and reformed. Take your creativity to the next level by studying art and design at Solihull College and University Centre. Express yourself through graphic design, photography, fine art, sculpting, fashion, and so much more. If you've got creative drive, we want to see it and help you to enhance it in a way that could lead on to a fulfilling career. Whatever your creative passion is, our experienced tutors will be on hand to help you make the most of your time here. From a brushstroke to the click of a mouse, progress to higher education here at the college or at university. Whatever your pathway, we'll develop your skills so your career in the arts can take off. Discover your future with Solihull College and University Centre.
Okay, so these are just the sort of qualification structures for each of the levels. On the left hand side here, it just illustrates sort of a jump off point, where some students might just do sort of 2 units and be awarded the award in art, design and media. The full qualification for that particular level encompasses 6 mandatory units, which are at sort of pass level, and then the unit 7 there is where the student does a personal assignment that will give them the overall qualification of either pass, merit or distinction. The level 2 has a similar sort of structure to it. We have the 2 units that can be just delivered as an award, but we will be covering the full sort of 7 units. It's a similar sort of breakdown in terms of the units, and then we have the unit 8 that is the one that gives the qualification the pass, merit or distinction. So all of these are those units where they explore, try out, make mistakes, resolve, problem solve, and really sort of work on the type of art and designer they want to be. Okay, and then the level 3 at the moment, the first year, so at the top here, units 1 to 3, they are the units that are covered in the first year. There are 2 units, sort of quite big units that are covered usually between September and sort of mid-February, and then the student actually writes their own brief, which could be a design-based brief, or could be sort of more sort of fine art, depending on what they've learned, what they think they want to be sort of pursuing sort of later on in the course. They then in the second year cover units 4, 5, and then there is a unit 6, which again is the final student directed project, which by then should be leaning towards the type of course that the student wants to do at university. Okay. We do also offer a foundation diploma. This is generally for people that have maybe done A-levels or are returning to a creative sector. Maybe they're deciding to move into a completely different work to that they've been used to before. They're coming back into education. And again, this is a course that gets you ready for university. Sometimes people from level 3 will stay and do an extra year just to confirm what they want to do before they go to university. You can see there the unit 1 and 2 are pass graded, and then the consolidating practice unit is the one that is identified as pass, merit or distinction. The level 3 and foundation courses are sufficient to get students to university to study whatever sort of type of course they want to. Okay. Anything you want to add there, Jess? You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, there you go. Unmuted, sorry. Yeah, I've responded to a couple of questions already, but there's a question that's come up here, which is asking about the difference between UAL and BTEC, and I think this is actually quite a good time to address that question, because as Matt said, the level 3 course would give you the option to apply directly to university without the need for a foundation diploma, as with the BTEC. The fundamental difference between the BTEC and the UAL courses is that the BTEC courses, you accrue your grade as you go through the 2 years. So everything you do from the very first project will add up to that final grade. Whereas with the UAL, Matt referred to that freedom before in that opportunity to explore and experiment and for things to go wrong, because the grading for the level 3, as with the level 1 and 2, is only determined by the final project. So if the first year of your level 3 you're finding your feet, you sort of stumble along a little bit and you pass the units, you get through and you finish that final project, and perhaps you're coming out with a pass or a merit, that won't impact at all on how you're graded at the end of your second year. So you can still come out with a high distinction grade at the end of your second year, regardless of the first. As long as you're passing all the way through, you're completing those units and you're building up that portfolio as you go through the 2 years, the grading isn't impacted by that. And it's the same with level 1 and 2. You go through those building blocks and you're gradually sort of lifted up to that level of 1, 2 or 3 when you do that final project. And that's the main difference between the UAL and BTEC. So BTEC, everything you do all the way through will contribute to that final grade. Your first year and second year are pulled together in that grading decision. And the foundation is a great follow-on from either the vocational or the A-levels, but isn't essential.
But I think that's a really good point, though. With I mean, when you arrive on day one, you don't have that magic door that makes you a level 3 student straight away. So there's that sort of building up to becoming a level 3 student, which is what the first 2 units of the course allow, which is a great way of looking at the sort of creative process and building those skills. Good. Where will the course lead? I think we've sort of pretty much sort of covered that. We do offer at the college, we are a university centre as well, so we do have an honours degree in creative practice, which is something for students to think about. And I think I've already covered the jumping off points in the previous slides. If a student decides that it's not really for them, I won't cover that again. This slide here just sort of identifies some of those areas. This is a still from a website, but there's advertising, architecture, the arts, there's craft, design, creative tech, fashion, gaming. There's a multitude of different courses and career paths that can be taken within art, depending on where your goals lie, what you become interested in. So that is just identifying that. We have some, a definition there of creative industries, those industries which have their origin in individual creativity, skill and talent, and which have potential for wealth and job creation through the generation and exploitation of intellectual property. There are 13 subsectors, and I think we covered some of that in the previous slide, but you can see them listed again there. In terms of the economy, 111 billion pounds to the UK economy. I know that's been hit quite a lot recently within some of the areas of creativity. But when you take that into consideration, 13 million pounds every hour is being contributed. That's quite a staggering amount. Okay, I'm not going to take us into that hyperlink, as we'll come out of it. And then more statistics there in terms of jobs. Obviously, at the moment, we are seeing probably a decline in some of those figures because of the strange times that we're in. But there, everything around us has some link with a creative process or within art. So it's just making you aware of some of that, and the slides that we're looking at the moment give you that sort of statistical information. Okay, so why is creativity important to employers? Some people who study with us don't go on to do to do a job within the arts, but the skills that you learn whilst doing a creative project or a creative course, they are transferable. The communication skills are absolutely integral in lots of other areas. So there's just an illustration there that you can have a look at yourself. But I'm just mindful of time. And again, another sort of diagram. One of the things that we all need to be aware of within the creative industries is ethics and sort of sustainability. But there's digital fluency that could be transferred over to other areas. Information literacy, communication, teamwork. These are all things that are apparent in lots of different sort of sectors. Okay, and developing 21st century critical thinkers. The critical reflection is a big part of the courses that we offer, and again, this sort of just illustrates some of those pointers. I'm not going to sort of read through them all because I'm mindful of time and just going to show you. I think we're coming to the point where we can share some work with you. Okay, so we have a series of slides here, which I will sort of run through relatively quickly, of examples of artworks. These current ones are level 1, where they're trying out different mark making processes and print processes, 3D. This could be level 2 or level 3. You know, it's yeah, we cover similar content, but we're expecting a sort of higher level. So playing around with sort of composition and imagery. Okay, so oops, I'm a bit fast then. So level 2 here, again, some processes being explored there, art making, some researching, really important part of the creative process. It's where we get our ideas from. I would say that, you know, it's probably a 50-50 sort of research to practical, so that you can generate those ideas. So we have a series of sketchbook pages through there, 3-dimensional work, and moving on to sort of the level 3, some installation work, some drawing, which could be sort of illustration. Okay, there's a piece there that was about the sort of homelessness that is you know, more apparent these days. So students tend to sort of pick on things that are on subject matter that's sort of around them as they move through. Okay, painting, digital art. This is a digital painting by a student. Textile processes, design, fine arts and drawing of one of the buildings with it on the campus. We are quite lucky actually to be situated where we are, because the grounds are really quite beautiful. Another one of those. This is a piece of sort of collage that one of the students did. An example of that. This guy here was someone who went on to do gaming art. Not something that I'm particularly fond of, but he did some really nice work. But as you can see, more sort of textiles based work, more sort of design sort of sheets there. That's back to the gaming art person again. And you can see where his ideas are coming from, and it all stems from a really good understanding of you know, mark making skills. Another one. Back to some more digital drawing. We then have some examples of graphic design, some of the stuff within the studio, posters and flyers, the use of photography with graphics as well. A full range of work, more illustrative, design based. So as you can see, packaging as well. There's you know, there's lots of things that students can do with us and learn along the way. Okay, quite a lot of slides.
Yeah, and there's opportunities, particularly in graphic design as well, where opportunities to take part in live briefs come up.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they come through mainly for graphic design, sometimes within photography. Very occasionally we get some in the broad-based sector as well, perhaps painting a mural somewhere or things like that. But graphic design, there's lots of competitions, there's lots of things going on, there's lots of live briefs and stuff, and it's, you know, there's a great array of things. And I think the biggest difference between the graphic design course and the broad-based is that emphasis on the digital language, and some students, you know, that perhaps want to go into more of a design subject, it's essential to have that grounding in that digital language, whereas the fine art tends to come back much more to manual processes, to painting, drawing, sculpture, print, all of those things, textiles. It's all encompassing, but the digital aspect is definitely a much larger component of the photography and graphic design courses. But the photography, there's option as well. Students use film, as well as digital. We've got a fully functioning dark room, we've got colour dark room, black and white. So there's the option to do a lot of traditional photographic practices, as well as a studio, which is really well fitted out with lighting and so on. We've got specialist facilities in ceramics, wood cut space. We've got textiles, printmaking. So we've got all sorts of facilities which enable us to deliver that very, very broad spectrum of practice across all of the courses. And we see students moving between those spaces, irrespective of whichever pathway they've chosen. And so many of these things can come in at all levels. The foundation is particularly interesting because it's quite an intensive year, really, because it's level 3 that tips into level 4, which is the lower end of undergraduate levels. And students really come in, and within a couple of months are starting to prepare portfolios for university applications. So it's very fast paced. There's lots of emphasis on building that portfolio and developing those skills throughout the year. And so it's quite an exciting year. It's a good one. This is quite interesting. I think this is your thing, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, we've because of the sort of pandemic and sort of passing sort of sketchbooks and bits of paper around, we're sort of moving more to a sort of blog style of working. So students will still be working on paper and in sketchbooks. I can't sort of show the blog within the PowerPoint, but these are a series of just stills from one of the students' PowerPoints. And it sort of shows a more sort of professional way of working, I suppose, and it gets their work out there because anyone can access these blogs that the students are putting together. So we can be assessing the work from home. We don't have to carry stuff there, but it also will enable them to have other digital sort of literacy skills that will probably be needed and have come about due to the pandemic. So work will be sent more digitally rather than a portfolio down to a prospective employer or a university. So it seems to be moving this way. So we're getting our level 3 students on board with blogging and sharing their work that way, and it allows them to do. If I could click into this, they've done some peer critique where each student has been looking at each other's blog. And you can see where their work experience is and that. So it's something that the students sort of have a resistance to, but we're sort of pushing that side of things where they're exposing their work to more people. Okay. So that sort of concludes the presentation.
So I think that's everything. So we're going to end that particular presentation. So thank you everyone that's come along and listened. Goodbye.